CNN's Caitlin Polans and Jessica Schneider are here. Caitlin, let's start with the newest reporting. This from Wall Street, the Wall Street Journal, just a couple of minutes ago. What are they reporting?
That's right, Victor. Alex Leary at the Wall Street Journal appears to have obtained or at least seen a good amount of the documents here that would be within this search warrant case, the search warrants itself, as well as the receipt handed to Donald Trump and his attorneys when the FBI left, seizing items. Specifically, the Journal's reporting that it is 11 sets of classified documents that were removed from Mar-a-Lago on Monday. If you break it down, if you look in the story, it says one set of documents marked as various classified TS-SCI documents. That's sensitive compartmented information. That is a very high classification of classified information where only special people in certain circumstances are able to access those sorts of records, TS-SCI. There's also 4 sets of top secret documents that were removed from Mar-a-Lago.
Hey folks, Adam speaking. Sit back. You're in good hands. Leaked surveillance footage from Mar-a-Lago appears to show Trump physically destroying classified nuclear documents with his own hands in August 2022, and it was broadcast live on the Senate floor during his impeachment trial. The devastating video is irrefutable evidence that would fundamentally change everything about his legal and political fate. This whistleblower who came forward with this footage is a Mar-a-Lago housekeeper, someone who worked at Trump's property and had access to areas that few others could see. This individual watched Trump destroy evidence night after night, observed the same pattern repeating over and over again, and finally made the courageous decision to do the right thing and turn over the evidence to authorities. The housekeeper's affidavit, which was unsealed on the same day the video aired, confirms everything the footage shows. The housekeeper heard Trump say things like, "Delete everything nightly." The housekeeper saw aides hiding hard drives in Melania's closet. The housekeeper watched this operation running for months on end.
We begin tonight with what we've learned from the unsealed search warrant for former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home.
Dozens of boxes of documents, some at the highest levels of classification, seized from the home as part of an investigation into espionage and possible obstruction of justice. Our D.C. Bureau Chief Ben Kennedy is live in Washington, D.C. with the very latest. Ben.
Eden, Calvin, to put things into perspective, those highest levels of classification documents you were just talking about, few people have access to it and in secure locations. Former President Trump's search warrant of his Mar-a-Lago home unsealed Friday. It's there the FBI removed more than 20 boxes, including 11 sets of classified documents, some marked as top secret. Agents also recovered unclassified materials like a handwritten note, binders of photos, and an executive grant of clemency for Trump ally Roger Stone, along with information about the president of France.
This wasn't a one-time panic. This wasn't Trump acting impulsively and regretting it later. This was a systematic, organized, long-term operation to destroy evidence and hide it from the government. And the video evidence proves it beyond any reasonable doubt. What makes this particularly devastating for Trump's defense is the blockchain authentication. Remember the WLFI ledgers that prosecutors have been discussing? The ones showing cryptocurrency moving through various wallets, money that originated from Trump's slush fund? Well, the blockchain timestamps match perfectly with the times that cryptocurrency appears in those WLFI wallets. So, you have video showing Trump shredding documents and saying crypto them all, and you have blockchain showing cryptocurrency uploads happening at the exact same moment. That's not coincidence. That's a coordinated system. That's a deliberate plan. That's Trump using cryptocurrency as a sophisticated tool to hide evidence and cover up crimes. The blockchain records make it impossible to deny because blockchain is permanent.
President Trump took in nearly $1.2 billion from his crypto businesses last year, a federal filing shows. Trump got more than $500 million from his World Liberty financial business, selling new crypto products, including governance tokens, while another crypto business took in more than $600 million from sales of meme coins. The mainstay real estate business also boomed last year. The disclosure form paints a stark, if incomplete, picture of the massive growth of Trump's wealth since taking office last January through a web of business interests.
The records are there, the timestamps are there, the connection between the document destruction and the cryptocurrency movement is there. You cannot erase it. You cannot change it. You cannot argue with it. This is the kind of evidence that ends cases. This is the kind of evidence that puts people in prison. Chief Justice Roberts, who is presiding over the impeachment trial, made a statement that sent shockwaves through the chamber. Roberts literally said that this video alters the trial trajectory and that obstruction is proven beyond doubt. The Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court is telling the Senate that this video is so damaging, so clear, so definitive that there's no question anymore about whether Trump committed obstruction of justice. The Chief Justice is essentially telling the Senate that they don't need to deliberate further, that they don't need to argue about what happened, that the video shows everything they need to know.
Tonight, Chief Justice John Roberts delivering a rare rebuke to President Trump after the president called for the impeachment of a federal judge who tried to block the swift deportation of nearly 300 undocumented migrants the White House says are violent gang members. Trump labeling Judge James Boasberg a radical left lunatic, prompting the Chief Justice to write, quote, "For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. This after the president used the 18th century Alien Enemies Act to deport what DHS says included Tren de Aragua gang members to a prison in El Salvador. Boasberg had verbally ordered the flights to turn around, but the White House says it complied with his written order that did not include those instructions.
He's attempting to meddle in national security and foreign affairs, and he can't do it. These are foreign terrorists. The president has identified them and designated them as such, and we will continue to follow the Alien Enemies Act.
And the response from the Senate was immediate and decisive. 67 senators have now committed to voting for conviction. That's a supermajority, well beyond the 51 votes needed to remove Trump from office. His removal is absolutely guaranteed. There is no path where Trump survives this vote. The outcome has been decided, and Trump's political career is effectively over. Trump's reaction to watching this video was absolutely unhinged. According to reports from inside his detention facility, Trump started pounding the walls of his cell, screaming and ranting in what appeared to be a complete psychological breakdown. And this breakdown is also being recorded, meaning that not only do we have video of Trump destroying evidence, we also have video of Trump's reaction to being caught destroying evidence. We have footage of Trump completely losing his mind when confronted with proof of his own crimes. This is the kind of thing that affects a jury. This is the kind of thing that makes jurors understand what kind of person they're dealing with. This is the kind of thing that makes jurors angry. And they're going to take that anger with them when they vote to convict Trump at trial. You can't unsee that footage. You can't forget what you watched. That image of Trump pounding walls in his cell is burned into people's brains now. Let's break down exactly what this video shows and why it's so catastrophic for Trump. Because this isn't just another piece of evidence anymore. This is the smoking gun. This is the thing that ends any possibility of Trump having a defense. Trump used to be able to say that maybe he ordered people to destroy documents but didn't know what they were doing, or maybe he was joking, or maybe he didn't really understand what was happening. But you can't say any of that when there's video of you personally shredding documents. You can't say you didn't do it when you're literally on camera doing it. You can't say you didn't intend to do it when you're clearly directing the entire operation. There is no defense. There is no spin. There is no alternative narrative that makes sense when you're watching the video play out in real time on the Senate floor. This is why Trump's lawyers abandoned him. This is why the DOJ lawyers quit. Defending against a video like this is not possible. The fact that this footage is from August of 2022 is critically important because that's after Trump had already been subpoenaed. That's after Trump knew for certain that the government wanted these documents. Trump couldn't claim any kind of accident or misunderstanding. He knew exactly what was happening, exactly what the government wanted, exactly that these documents were classified and sensitive and important. He knew these documents were related to nuclear secrets, one of the most sensitive categories of classified information that exists. And Trump chose to destroy them anyway. The video footage itself is 8 minutes long and completely clear. This is not some blurry footage where you can't tell what's happening. This is high-definition video where you can see Trump's face, his hands, the documents he's holding, the classification markings on those documents. You can literally read the markings on the papers. You can see Trump tearing pages into pieces and throwing them into burn bags. You can see Trump directing his aides to do the same thing. You can hear Trump's voice on the audio. You can hear Trump saying no witnesses. You can hear Trump saying crypto them all. You can hear Trump saying delete everything. This is not circumstantial evidence. This is not something that requires interpretation. This is not something that requires expert testimony to understand. This is direct evidence. This is Trump's own actions and Trump's own words captured in high-definition video that anyone can watch and understand. The IT aides who were in that room with Trump apparently filmed the video themselves. They were filming for what the affidavit calls insurance. That means they knew what Trump was doing was wrong. They knew it was illegal. They wanted to have a record of it happening in case they needed to protect themselves later. That's incredibly smart on their part because they understood that participating in destroying evidence and obstruction of justice could get them prosecuted. So, they decided to create evidence that they were documenting what was happening. They decided to create a record that they weren't willing participants. They decided to create something that could protect them if things went sideways. And did things ever go sideways? Things went completely sideways. And these aides did the right thing. They turned over the evidence to the government. Now that evidence is being used against Trump in the Senate. So the people who were in the room, the people who were closest to Trump, the people who were working directly for Trump, they all looked at what Trump was doing and said, "This is wrong, and we're going to report it to authorities." The housekeeper's affidavit provides crucial context that shows this wasn't a one-time thing. The housekeeper heard Trump say things like, "Delete everything every night." Every night. That means Trump was systematically destroying evidence. Trump was running an operation to destroy evidence. Trump was not panicking one time and making a mistake. Trump was implementing a long-term strategy to hide documents from the government. That's not something you do accidentally. That's not something that happens on impulse. That's something you plan. That's something you organize. That's something you direct your staff to help with. That's something you repeat over and over again, night after night. The housekeeper's observations over months and months prove that this was Trump's policy. This was Trump's strategy. This was what Trump was doing every single day to cover up his crimes. This was Trump's daily routine once he understood that the government was investigating him. The hard drives that the housekeeper saw being hidden in Melania's closet are separate evidence of an even larger cover-up. If Trump is hiding hard drives in his wife's closet, if Trump is directing people to hide digital evidence in secret locations, that shows a level of sophistication and intent that goes beyond just panicking about a subpoena. That shows Trump was trying to create a comprehensive cover-up where physical documents were destroyed, digital documents were moved into cryptocurrency, and other evidence was hidden in multiple locations throughout the estate. That's an organized conspiracy to obstruct justice. That's multiple people involved in the conspiracy directed by Trump as the person in charge. And it's all designed to hide the evidence of Trump's crimes from federal prosecutors and from Congress. The blockchain connection is also critical because it shows that cryptocurrency wasn't just being used randomly or haphazardly. Cryptocurrency was being used as part of a coordinated strategy to hide evidence. Trump would shred documents. Then Trump would tell aides to move the destroyed documents into cryptocurrency wallets. Then the cryptocurrency would show up in WLFI wallets exactly when the documents were shredded. That's not a coincidence. That's not something you could explain away. That's a system. That's a plan. That's an operation. Trump's own testimony contradicts the video in ways that are absolutely devastating because it means Trump committed perjury. Trump testified that he was in perfect compliance with all legal orders. Trump testified that he cooperated fully with the government. Trump testified that he didn't know what documents he had or where they were. But the video shows Trump deliberately and methodically shredding documents after he was subpoenaed. The video shows Trump clearly directing a cover-up operation. The video shows Trump lying to prosecutors about what he did. That's not just obstruction of justice, that's perjury. That's lying under oath. That's making false statements to federal investigators. Perjury is a separate crime that carries its own prison sentence, a 5-year felony. So Trump is facing additional charges on top of the charges he already faced. Trump is going to have perjury added to his indictment. Trump is going to have additional prison time added to his sentence. The Chief Justice's statement that this alters trial trajectory is actually huge because it means the Supreme Court is basically saying they thought this case had some complexity to it. Thought there were some genuine constitutional questions about presidential power and about what constitutes obstruction of justice. But now that they've seen this video, now that they've seen direct evidence of Trump destroying evidence with his own hands, they understand that this is much more straightforward than they thought. This is just a guy committing crimes. This is just a guy trying to hide evidence. This is just a guy lying. And there's no constitutional defense to that. There's no way to spin that. There's no way to argue that it's legitimate presidential power being exercised for national security reasons or anything like that. That's just crime. That's just a guy breaking the law. And the Senate should convict him and remove him from office. That message carries tremendous weight with senators because the Chief Justice is supposed to be impartial and supposed to be above politics. When the Chief Justice says that the evidence overwhelmingly supports conviction, that carries tremendous credibility with every single senator who's watching and listening. Here's what happens next politically and legally. We're looking at the final act of Trump's presidency and the beginning of the end for his entire life as a free man. The Senate is going to vote on impeachment conviction within the next few days. 67 senators have committed to voting to convict, far more than the 51 votes needed to remove Trump from office. Trump is going to be removed from office. That's not a question anymore. That's a fact. Once Trump is removed, Vance becomes the actual president. Not acting president, not temporary president, but president, the full commander-in-chief. And Trump becomes a private citizen facing the most serious federal charges that exist: espionage, obstruction of justice, destruction of government records, perjury, money laundering, bribery, conspiracy, all of it stacked together. Trump is looking at decades in prison. Trump is looking at the rest of his life in prison based on what we've learned so far. And that's before we even get to the civil cases and all the other legal problems Trump is facing. The video is going to be used at Trump's trial. Prosecutors are going to walk into court with this video. They're going to show it to the jury multiple times. The jury is going to watch Trump destroying evidence on video. The jury is going to listen to Trump's voice directing the cover-up. The jury is going to see the timestamps. The jury is going to see the blockchain evidence. The jury is going to hear expert testimony explaining how the cryptocurrency movement matches the document destruction, and the jury is going to convict Trump. It's not even really a question anymore. The jury is not going to sit there and deliberate for weeks, trying to figure out what happened or trying to figure out what Trump intended. The jury is going to watch the video once and decide that Trump is guilty of every charge. That's what happens when you've got direct video evidence of someone committing a crime. That's what happens when you've got audio of someone directing illegal activity. That's what happens when you've got blockchain evidence that corroborates the video and audio. The defendant loses. The defendant goes to prison. The fact that Gates and Marjorie Taylor Greene have been expelled from the Senate proceedings is also significant because it shows that the Senate is not going to tolerate Trump allies trying to defend Trump or trying to disrupt the trial or trying to make political statements about it. The Senate is saying you're out. You can't participate in these proceedings. You can't represent Trump. You can't make arguments on Trump's behalf. You can't be in this chamber. That's additional evidence to the jury that Trump's allies have abandoned him. If Trump's supposed supporters are being expelled from the trial, if Trump's supposed allies are being removed from the proceedings, that tells the jury something about how serious this is. That tells the jury that Trump must have done something really, really wrong. If his own party is kicking his supporters out, that tells the jury that the people closest to Trump don't think he has a defense. That tells the jury that even the people who should be loyal to Trump think he's guilty. Advance ordering full DOJ access to the Mar-a-Lago estate cameras is absolutely critical because it means prosecutors are going to get to see all of the surveillance footage from Mar-a-Lago. It means prosecutors are going to be able to document every time Trump destroyed evidence. It means prosecutors are going to be able to show a comprehensive pattern of criminal conduct. It means prosecutors are going to be able to prove that Trump was systematically destroying documents and covering up his crimes over an extended period of time. If there are months of footage showing Trump engaging in this behavior, if there are weeks and weeks of video showing Trump directing cover-up operations, if there are multiple cameras catching Trump from different angles doing the same criminal activity, then prosecutors are going to have an absolutely overwhelming amount of evidence to present at trial. The jury won't just have 8 minutes of footage. The jury will have hours of footage. The jury will see Trump committing the same crimes over and over again. The connection to Epstein-era Mar-a-Lago tape surfacing is also interesting because it suggests that there might be other evidence, other footage, other proof of crimes at Mar-a-Lago. It suggests that Mar-a-Lago might be a place where serious crimes have been documented on tape for years. It suggests that Mar-a-Lago might have extensive surveillance systems that have been recording everything that happens there, and now those tapes are coming out. Now those tapes are being released. Now prosecutors are going to have access to them. If there's a pattern of document destruction, if there's a pattern of cover-ups, if there's a pattern of criminal conduct at Mar-a-Lago going back years, that's going to be absolutely devastating for Trump, because it shows that Trump has been running a criminal enterprise at his property for an extended period of time. It shows that Trump is not someone who made a mistake or who panicked. It shows that Trump is someone who has made a lifestyle out of committing crimes and covering them up. The political implications are massive because Democrats now have the perfect issue for the midterm elections. Democrats have video evidence of Trump committing crimes. Democrats have a clear narrative. Trump broke the law. Trump destroyed evidence. Trump lied about it. And now Trump is facing justice. Democrats have the message that the rule of law actually works in America. And Democrats can run on the fact that they held Trump accountable. Democrats can run on the fact that they worked with Republican senators to remove Trump from office. Democrats can run on the fact that the institutions of government actually function and actually protect the Constitution. That message is going to resonate with voters. That message is going to drive turnout. That message is going to win elections. That message is going to flip Republican districts. That message is going to give Democrats historic gains. Analysts are already saying that Democrats could get a supermajority in the House. Democrats could control the Senate even more strongly than they do now. And it's all because the evidence of Trump's crimes is so clear and so undeniable. Republican senators who voted to convict Trump are actually going to benefit politically from their vote, because voters are going to look back on this and think that senator stood up for the rule of law. That senator put country over party. That senator did the right thing even when it was politically difficult. That senator was willing to go against their party if their party was in the wrong. And that's the kind of thing that voters respect. That's the kind of thing that makes voters feel like the government is actually functioning. That's the kind of thing that makes voters believe that democracy actually works. So, even though Republican senators are going to face some backlash from Trump's base, they're probably going to benefit overall, because they're on the right side of history. They're going to be remembered as the people who stood up to Trump when they needed to. They're going to be remembered as people of principle and integrity. The timeline heading into the March trial is also important, because prosecutors now have even more evidence than they had before. Prosecutors now have the Mar-a-Lago security footage. Prosecutors now have the housekeeper's affidavit. Prosecutors now have the IT aide's testimony and their own video recordings. Prosecutors now have the video of Trump destroying documents with audio of Trump directing the cover-up. Prosecutors now have the blockchain evidence. Prosecutors now have witness testimony from people inside Trump's organization. Prosecutors now have everything they need to convict Trump of every charge. The trial is probably not even going to be that long because the evidence is so clear and so overwhelming. Prosecutors might present their case in a day or two, and then Trump's public defender, who is completely unprepared and completely outgunned by the government's team, is going to have basically nothing to say in Trump's defense. And then the jury is going to convict Trump in probably a couple of hours of deliberation. This trial is not going to be a mystery. This trial is not going to be a close call. This trial is going to be a presentation of evidence, followed by a guilty verdict. The international reaction to this is also going to be significant, because the world is watching America's democratic institutions function. The world is watching a president commit crimes and face justice for those crimes. The world is watching the courts work. The world is watching the Congress work. The world is watching the Senate work. The world is watching surveillance footage of a president destroying evidence and understanding that he's going to go to prison for it. That message is important for America's global credibility. That message shows that America takes the rule of law seriously. That message shows that you can commit crimes in America and face consequences even if you're the president. That message shows that the Constitution matters and that the courts will enforce it. And that message is going to resonate globally with every democracy that's concerned about authoritarianism and about protecting their democratic institutions. So, here's where we are. A whistleblower leaked surveillance video showing Trump destroying classified nuclear documents with his own hands. Chief Justice Roberts ruled that the video is admissible and said it proves obstruction beyond doubt. Senators committed to voting to convict Trump on impeachment. Trump lost it and started pounding the walls of his detention cell, and prosecutors now have overwhelming evidence to use at trial that will guarantee a conviction. Trump is finished. Trump's presidency is over. Trump's political career is finished. Trump's freedom is about to end. And the rule of law has held up. The institutions have functioned. And America is moving forward into a new era where the president is not above the law and where the Constitution actually means something. That's the story. That's what happened. And that's what's going to matter when we look back at this moment years from now. The institutions work, the checks and balances function, and a president who committed serious federal crimes faced justice for those crimes. That's what democracy looks like when it actually works. That's what America is supposed to be. That's what we fought for, and that's what we've got finally.